Mrs. Green Apple, we are continuing our track by track listen through to the 12 album with a song called Mrs. Casas, is the way that I'm reading that. It's in katakana. Look, this is the first song, yes, since we had Public, which actually has a music video, although it does state here that it's a lyric video, but still, that means it's a song they wanted to push front and center, and this is their first full-length album. I'm kind of intrigued to see what we get from this one. As always, this is a song that I haven't heard before, don't really know anything about it, but yeah, Mrs. Green Apple, so far, this first full-length album has delivered some interesting surprises. Certainly has been one of the most interesting ones to discuss because there's been so much, really kind of, you really feel like the early stages of a band who were going to go on to be such a chart dominator, but at the same time, you know, was still doing stuff back at this point, which was obviously worthy of topping the chart. So this has been a really interesting one to check out, but we're going to have a little listen to this lyric video now. And yeah, even this 8.3 million views. So Mrs. Green Apple, just, you know, anything under 10 million views is them on there like a modest today. So let's check this out, see what we get. This is Miss Casas, unless I am, I'm thinking it's like Miss or Mrs. Casas. No, Miss Casas, isn't it? Let me check. Miss Casas. Yeah, okay. It's Miss Casas by Mrs. Green Apple. Let's check it out. Dramatic. Liking that kind of intense vibe. This is a little bit different from anything we've had in the album so far. That kick drum rhythm alongside the rolling bass. Very tense, very menacing. Nice build up. I really hope the chorus pays this off, so this is a strong start. Enter title. It's an intuitive chorus as well. That kind of weird, I forgot what the name is for it, but the kind of off-tuned guitar is a really kind of creepy, cool effect. Muted now. Muted guitar on one side. Similar formula to last time. Are we going back round to the chorus again? Oh, it's like we could have a bridge here. No chorus. That's a nice change of tone. Burst in. Keeping it low key. Tension building. Listening to the stereo between the two chaotic guitars there. Very impactful. Oh, nice. Really punching each chord home, each beat home with the piano there. Yeah, that ending, the way they sort of like let the song play out, hammer home the chords and then end. That's really good, really lovely dramatic crescendo. Really enjoyed the way that worked out there. That was that was really enjoyable. I really like that. I've got to be honest again. I've been as honest as I can about this whole album. I think the album has kind of gone through a lot of things, but definitely the songs that have been the best thus far have been songs. For me, have been songs like Public and Hour, which have kind of had this sort of chaotic rock feeling, where it just feels like they feel very at home on those songs on this album. However, this is quite different, and I've got to be honest. This is definitely amongst one of my favorite ones so far. I'm glad this has got, like, even if it's a lyric video, I'm glad it's got some kind of video, because Miss Casas, it's just got this wonderful impact. What I think really strikes out first and foremost about this and really grabs attention is the fact that when you come in, you've got a song that isn't quite as much based on like interplay between rhythms as a lot of the other Mrs. Green Apple songs are. You listen to a lot of the songs, and as I've mentioned, in the stereo you'll have like one instrument playing, maybe a piano or a guitar playing one rhythm, while another guitar will be playing a slightly different rhythm, and you'll kind of be bouncing off of them, and you'll be getting this sort of syncopation between both of them, you know, on your left and right headphone, which gives you a really interesting feeling. Whereas this, it was much more about just kind of like the beat was kind of very kind of pounding along, stamping, and while that's happening, you've got this kind of sort of building chaos of everything. And yeah, at the end, the fact you've got the two guitars, which is kind of these swirls of distorted sound, it makes them interesting. They're different, so you're getting a genuine stereo experience. But rather than relying on everything bouncing off of each other, it's more just kind of the feeling of just feeling this wall of sound building up. Obviously, there was a bit of funkiness during the verse. I really enjoyed the drum playing is always great, especially on these older songs. I'm not saying anything, but especially on these older songs, drumming is especially good. And you know, I got to be honest, I really enjoyed that rhythm straight away with the way it comes in with a really interesting sort of kick drum syncopation. And when we get into the chorus, it does the very Mrs. Green Apple thing where we go from the sort of normal kick snare beat to a snare. There's so many Mrs. Green Apple choruses that start off with either snares on the first beat or like a rolling sort of rolling snare. There's so many that do that. More than I think most of the bands. I would say that's almost a signature Mrs. Green Apple quality. And then you combine that with a chorus that is obviously very much focused around having a big held note. You can tell this is something that's supposed to be dramatic and sung out loud. You know, it's got that vibe very much running through every part of its DNA. It's a song that's supposed to be impactful. It's supposed to pump your fists. You really feel like pumping your fist and just sing it out loud. And it's interesting because that kind of formula of song can be the sort of song that ends up sounding the most dry and bland if done wrongly. Because a lot of Mrs. Green Apple's songs, like I say, are based on kind of a funky sense of syncopation, you know, sounds bouncing off of each other. So it means even in probably their most kind of unspectacular songs, for want of a better word, even in the songs that are not like the strongest Mrs. Green Apple songs, there's almost always a sense that at least they're engaging musically. So when you do a song like this where it's more just about kind of everything having impact, and you're not relying so much on having an interesting sort of dancing syncopation of instruments, but instead having something which is just kind of like building up in a very straightforward but impactful way. Execution is very important, and for me this was just brilliant the way it was executed. I mean, go back to the first verse. What you're getting there is you're getting one guitar sort of doing like a, sort of playing a walking kind of, how to describe, like a picking line, and then the other one's just da-da, da-da. And you could say that's a counter rhythm, but it's very much on beat. It's pretty much on beat. The bass here is doing a lot of the work, I'd say, in the verses. I think that was now I'm thinking about it, I think the bass is actually doing more here than I really gave it credit for. Then we get into this pre-chorus and the bass settles down. And you listen to the guitars are now settled down as well. There's not much going on rhythmically here. It's just kind of like a sense of building. It's very much reliant on the chord pattern just being an interesting one that builds you up and builds you up. And then we get to the chorus. Again, you listen to this part and the guitars are mostly strumming. The bass is mostly just kind of like rumbling along. Bass does a little bit of walking there. Drums very much not doing anything complicated, but it's the fact that this, as simple as this chorus is, it feels earned because the song's built up to it so interestingly. Again, the bass, I love those little bits where just at the end it walks around. So yeah, this is definitely a song where it's a very simple formula, beautifully executed, and all the details and nuances are there. It's not a song without nuance, but the nuances are in those places where they're subtle and just give it a little bit of character. But primarily, it's just a song that builds up really well and has a punchy chorus at the end of it. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was actually, again, I'm going to have to give my final assessment when I come back and listen to this album later, after I finish listening to the whole thing first time and give it like proper sit-down listens more regularly. But I feel like this is definitely one of my strongest ones thus far. I really enjoyed this. Definitely a song I would come back and listen to in isolation as well, which is always a strong compliment. But yeah, great stuff. So as always, get in the comments, tell me what you think, and then we'll hopefully be back for the next song soon. The next song being Simple. What a name. Anyway, so there you go. As always, those are my thoughts. Like I say, get in the comments, tell me what you think, and until I hopefully see you very soon for the next one of these. For now, ciao, ciao.